I will call to order Thursday, July 11th, 2019 at 6:40, the special meeting of the Governing Board, which is the public hearing. Roll call, let it be shown that all members are here, and can we have a motion for the...
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, Jim's not here. Wow. But Heather Mock is here. I guess I should have looked, right? And do a call to the public. I don't see anyone.
Well, do we do the call to the public for the truth and taxation statement for fiscal year 1819 pursuant ARS 15.905.01.b.4?
Oh,
There's two people here that could speak.
but
Either one of you?
It's not a motion because we're just asking the public to
okay.
if they want to speak, and
Does
I
anyone
don't
want to speak?
think we have anybody that wants to speak on item
Go
A.
stand on the bridge with a sign?
No,
to-
because the
so we
bridge is
could recruit
closed
some
and it's
people?
dangerous. There's a lot of construction.
Bridge is closed.
Oh,
So let's do B. That was A.
We're gonna-
There have been no changes since the last board meeting either. Of course, everything is the same as for the truth and taxation. And items are posted on the ADE website. I think I have to wait for Mr. Miglorino to be sure, but
Why did I look at that table and imagine he was sitting there?
I know. I hear the
They're
door.
coming. I hear
Yeah.
that one-
awkward silence.
and I think he's
He
limping.
knew that 20 minutes was more than enough.
And there's Mr. Miglorino. Are you ready for us, Mr. Miglorino? Well, please proceed.
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, this evening we have a public hearing regarding the expenditure budget for the 2019-20 school year. And I'm hoping that there is a clicker somewhere nearby.
Clicker? A quicker clicker or just a clicker? Why, it's over there somewhere.
It's almost like we're on summer break. That's a couple of demerits for you tonight.
All right, while we're getting the...
Oh, you don't know that. We've been having technical difficulties in the back.
So, based on the audience that's here,
You could just go over it.
yeah, there's essentially no changes to the budget.
We've moved to B, item B.
No, we're doing A first.
Do we have anything on A? We haven't gotten to B yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, sir.
He's
So-
lost without his clicker.
So the Truth and Taxation Notice has been published, and as we get started talking about next year's budget, the 2019-20 budget, I'd be remiss not to at least acknowledge Ms. Mock, our Director of Finance, for all of her hard work with not only the Truth and Taxation, but completely assembling the budget that we're going to talk about this evening. The Truth and Taxation Statement was published thanks to Ms. Mock, and it actually indicates that the adjacent ways funding that we're, the $500,000 that we're planning for the new elementary school, it provides notice to the public that the additional tax is separate and approved by this governing board if you so choose this evening to do so. There's a fairly minimal impact monetarily for that. And in the taxation notice, it does note that on a $100,000 home, it would be $1.81 for the entire year. That's how the tax impact for that $500,000 that we would generate. And for comparative purposes, in the fiscal year that just ended, in fiscal year 19, we had $400,000 worth of adjacent ways in that particular budget, and that was specifically for the Hillcrest modernization project that's underway this summer. So in terms of the difference between fiscal year 19 and 20, there's only a $100,000 difference, $400,000 compared to $500,000. But the truth in taxation notice, the way the statute reads, we have to claim the entire $500,000 because it's a new tax each year that it's considered by the board. So that has been issued. The only thing that was worth noting from the hearing standpoint is when we get to this item on the agenda, which is in the meeting immediately following, that requires a roll call vote. So we'll have to honor that in terms of increasing the percentage. So this is the slide on the truth in taxation increase. So this is the actual notice that was published. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, and we do need to open it up for anybody in the public that might also have a question regarding the truth in taxation notice before we move on to the item that I tried to start with.
Yes, we have made that call, and nobody has chosen, the 4 people have not chosen to
Okay, perfect.
answer it. Oh, hold on one second. Ms. Tweedy?
So is it all being spent on the new school?
President Ordway, Ms. Tweedy, it's all being planned to be spent on the new school. Yes, I mean there's the entire plan is based on the guaranteed maximum price of the construction contract that has not been finalized, but the intention is that all $500,000 will be spent on the new school, and there aren't any plans for it to be spent any other way. I mentioned the $400,000 was for Hillcrest. I was remiss to not include that we have a traffic signal that we're still working on at 51st Avenue for the exit of the buses that was also included in that $400,000. So there could be adjacent ways expenses because of the delay in getting the traffic light done that roll over as part of that $400,000 into fiscal year 20. But that would be from the $400,000 that was levied in the previous year. But to answer your question more directly, all these $500,000 are being dedicated to the new school. We might have more than $500,000 worth of adjacent ways expenses in fiscal year 20 because the traffic signal was not able to because of the all the approvals that are required to implement a traffic signal. We haven't been able to accomplish that during fiscal year 19 as was originally planned when that money was levied for. So those monies are carrying forward.
So they just keep rolling over if you don't use them?
That is correct.
Okay.
Is that a pun for a road? Because it's road. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yes, Ms. Frank.
So of the 400,000 that was levied last year, how much was spent on the Hillcrest project? Was it the entire amount, or is there some that's being rolled over?
President Ordway, Ms. Frank, about $200,000, and I can get you the exact amount in an update. About $200,000 was targeted for Hillcrest, and about $200,000 was targeted for the light, the traffic light. So it was split about 50-50 of that 400,000.
So if we had been able to get the traffic light done, then 100% of the money that was levied last year would have been spent. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's just the timing of the approvals with the city and trying to come up with a configuration that works with the limitations of the existing site that's there.
So that 200,000 will roll over and will eventually be spent on the traffic light. I just want to make sure the public understands that we're not levying taxes, not spending all of it, and then asking for more.
That would be accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other additional questions regarding the truth and taxation notice? If not, we'll jump back to the budget itself. jump back because I have to, going to tell you not to look at the screen as I made you dizzy. The actual budget, as I mentioned, hasn't changed from what we proposed. We updated a couple things on the cover page and updated some of the tables in there, but none of the information that we've shared previously has been altered. Again, it was the budget was proposed back on June 25th, so we've had the same information that we've been looking forward to since we've been building the budget over, well, since essentially January. And you can see all the folks that were involved in that with the NST, the board input, and our budget committee process. Again, just some highlights of the budget. We are expecting, some carry forward from this year, and that's thanks to the increased number of students that we had in the 2018-19 school year. That yielded some additional dollars that we will be rolling forward from fiscal year 19 into fiscal year 20. Some other changes included the inflationary increase that was garnered from the passage of Proposition 123, and that our override is still in existence at the full 15% for fiscal year 20. It will be also for fiscal year 21 as well, but then we'll begin the phase down period thereafter if it's not renewed with the November 2019 election that's upcoming. Really, I think the point I want to just draw your attention to on this slide is that the general budget limit, so this is the amount of money that we have for either M&O and or capital based on the formula, went from $215 million to $224.5 million. And you can see, part of that has to do with the 20% increase for teachers by the 2020, which is the governor's initiative. Some of it's inflationary funding, some of it's the additional ADM, and then the district additional assistance that is being partially restored next year. We do show a balanced budget in our working budget. This is a page from the Gold Book that we've also included in the board packet. This includes some items that were shown on the proposed budget as requests. They were some reclassifications and new positions that are now shown in the budget and leading us to a budget balance remaining of zero. So you can see that $226 million is our working budget because it includes the cash accounts in addition to what the formula generates, as well as some carry forward in that that's not part of the funding formula that was shown on the previous page when I gave you the $224 million number on this slide. Again, the working budget is our goal book because we try and allocate as many resources that are available to us as a district for funding for the year. The formula generates only the $224 million that we shared previously on the general budget limit. The staffing changes, again, just really, high-level highlights, the 5% increase for all staff, increase in teachers again due to increased students and some programs that we're offering to students that we hadn't previously or in previous years. Classified staff increases, and then we also, just as a reminder, have the last scheduled increase of minimum wage to the $12 an hour on January of 2020. When I say last scheduled, last defined scheduled, it still will increase annually thereafter, but this is a pretty large increase from $11 to $12 for January of 2020, that should say. Sorry, my apologies for the typo. Some non-staffing highlights here. We did, with the benefit committee that the board approved back in April, we were able to make some minor changes to the plan design and utilize some reserves that we had with Valley Schools to be able to come up with a plan that we've already shared with you previously and with our employees and to help offset the increase in the medical premium that is mostly driven due to inflation, so medical inflation and somewhat due to claims. We had some adjustments to district budgets that we've talked about previously. And the thing that's worth noting here is the last bullet is that the $2.1 million in capital that's held in reserve, this was a late recommendation that came from the NST process, from our employee groups, because the district additional assistance restoration that was part of the ultimately approved state budget, we're holding that in reserve to make sure that we don't have any other adjustments due to current year funding, some uncertainty about what other changes were going to take place over the course of the next year. And so that was part of the recommendation. So the money is shown in the capital budget and is just will be, as any capital dollars, will carry forward into the future year if it's not spent in the year that it's budgeted. Just a reminder, district additional assistance, even with the restoration, is still cut by over 32%. And that's $4.8 million. So it's nice that district additional assistance is being partially restored, but we're still having to contend with not being fully funded. And it hasn't been fully funded since 2008, so it's been a long time. As we've talked about previously, it's well over $100 million cumulatively in funding formula that has not been received by the district due to the state-imposed reductions. We talk a lot about the budget, and that yields what the impact is going to be to the tax rate. There's a lot of moving pieces. This is a projection of what the tax rate will look like because the tax rate won't ultimately be set until the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors does so in August. But we are projecting the small decrease on both the primary and secondary tax rate. But due to the assessed valuation growth that we're seeing, it's going to be a slight increase, but not due to the tax rate, but due to the assessed valuation. So the property values are increasing. Our tax rate is actually decreasing. The net impact on the average assessed valuation home at $213,000 is an annual increase of about $33 or 3.4%. Lots of factors that go into this that are beyond our control. That's essentially what this slide is trying to convey. And much of that has to do with statewide assessed valuations and what's called the qualifying tax rate, how the state determines how much equalization assistance we get, how much state funding we receive as a district is determined by that QTR. And because our assessed valuation is growing greater than the state, it has an inverse relationship on the qualifying tax rate. So our local taxpayers pick up more of the burden when that happens. And that's true, again, for the 2019-20 year. And I should mention that we have a fixed payment schedule when it comes to our bond repayment. And so that's also factored into this. So here's what that average assessed valuation home looks like. Paying approximately $955 in 2018 tax year, which would have been the 18-19 school year for us. We're projecting for the 2019-20 school year that to be $988, so just a 3.4% increase, despite having a nearly 2% decrease in the tax rate itself. Again, that's due to the assessed valuation growing, you can see over 5% on the average. This slide is my requisite too small to read slide in every presentation I think I've ever given. Yeah, I've certainly, I think I've guilty of smaller font at some point in time. But these are actual parcels, just to give you an idea, because the average might be difficult to find. So I actually pull out for parcels that are, in various locations of the district, and just to see what the difference would be for an actual parcel. And for all but the very first parcel, it trends at the 3.4% for each of these actual parcels. The top parcel actually runs up against the homeowner's rebate maximum amount, and so it's not, the homeowner's rebate is not helping offset that particular parcel. So that does happen on occasion where that is limited, the homeowner's rebate is limited to $600 for the primary residence of any one taxpayer. And so that particular difference is greater at 6.3% than the other three parcels. I think that is an anomaly, but again, we just randomly select some parcels to be able to provide that information. So I think the long and short of it is just following in line with being conscientious of the impact of the tax rate on any decision that this board can make. We are making sure that we're being as fiscally prudent as possible with any decision. We talked about the truth and taxation notice, so I will be happy to answer any questions the board might have, but again, we do need to open it up to the public to make sure that there aren't any other public comments regarding the budget before we move into the regular meeting.
I'm opening a call to the public. I don't see anyone, so I am going to now open it to a board member. Ms. Frank?
So this is picky, that you'll fix that typo that said 2019, because I'm afraid if we vote on it the way it is, we'll be owing people money retroactively.
We'd be happy to fix that. I apologize
Okay.
for my error.
Thank you.
He only put that in there to make sure we were looking at his little tiny numbers. So I think that wraps that up, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
That concludes the requirements for the public hearing.
Awesome. So we will,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Awesome. We are done at 7:02. Do we want 5 minutes or go right into the 5 minutes?